As a general generative AI user, though, as what I went over with you guys, I have basically no, well, not no, but um, very low, very low amounts of It really wants to see just exactly how big a fucking kilogram is visually. You know.
Measurement used to measure very light objects. For example, and it
Damn it. Anyways, I have a very low, individual water footprint. Basically, I mean, if I eat meat, it's usually chicken rather than pork. Water use and greenhouse gas emissions. Global average water footprint estimates put chicken at about 4,300 liters per kilogram versus about 6,000 liters per kilogram for pork. On climate impact, large comparative food digestive systems put poultry at roughly 6 kilograms CO2e per kilogram and pork at 7 kilogram CO2e per kilogram. So if your meat pattern is mostly chicken, some bacon, sausage, no beef, this is materially different than a beef-heavy diet. It's not morally pure woodland elf nutrition or anything else, but it's meaningfully less water and carbon intensive than beef-centered eating. Put bluntly, for your personal footprint, no beef plus mostly text plus mostly chicken instead of pork and maybe a little bit of milk here and there, is a much stronger environmental profile than any of my friends, lazy little, sermon towards me, basically seemed to assume ultimately and wanted to assume. I think that we live in a culture of one-upmanship where everybody basically is trying to be better than the other in some way or shape or form, and it's just not a competition I really have any interest in gaming, especially against a member of the opposite sex. I'm not superior to you. You're not superior to me. We're equals, maybe one of us knows or is more knowledgeable than the other. I don't know, but that doesn't make you better. It just makes you more knowledgeable. Like, or maybe I know more about one domain of things and you know more about another. And yeah. I mean, I don't want to be better than anybody. I'm not looking for that. Fight ultimately. I'm really interested in engaging in these games of one-upmanship. But if you compare me to the average American based on my diet and my very pure text-based use of AI, like 400 kilograms for every hamburger, and 400 gallons, 450 gallons for every hamburger that a person consumes. And when you realize I don't eat beef at all, just have never had any interest in it. Like I'm already way ahead of the curve in terms of having a lower water footprint than the average American, and then people come at me and they tell me not to use AI. That's what they do. They say that to me, and it's like, really, they're saying that to everybody broadly, but, I get it, and because it's said to everybody, I receive the message and everything, but I want to say, fuck you. Why? And everybody's doing this, and it's like, why are you coming after me? Did you read that in an article somewhere? Did the article you read even did it even bother to do any thinking for you? Like, to explain this to you, like, beef uses an absolutely enormous amount of water due to the fact that that they have to be fed corn and soy. That's why it ends up being a fucking 450 gallons of water for every hamburger. That's a quarter pounder in size, anyways, at least. So, you want to come at me for being an AI user and everything and criticize it, but, that does add some to my water profile, water footprint, sure. But, my water footprint was already much lower than the average Americans. This is not this is a question of scale, and, nobody cared enough to give me the benefit of the doubt to at least ask any of these questions, that would have been able to determine what my water footprint really was before they came out and told me to quit using AI. You know what happens when I use AI? I add an absolutely minuscule amount to my water footprint. It's insane how little it is, and everything. And it's a profile of use that's already very, very low as it is because of the way that I eat. I don't eat beef. I've already conquered the very first level of, reducing one's water, consumption as a person, and the consequences, at least, of my own water footprint. So you know what? My critics are, they're just not thinkers. They don't think deeply enough about this sort of thing. They just read a headline somewhere and they see, that AI is using, that it's using an inordinate amount of water, and then they start telling everybody to stop using it and boycott it. So yeah, I don't use much water. It doesn't take much water for me to live.